Earthlings, how you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. He'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Radio. We have arrived. First Contact. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing? Welcome back from the weekend. Let's look into it today, 28th. So during the course of this hour, we're making a transition from one moon sign to the next, going from Aries to Taurus. Our sun sign already is in Taurus, so today we're going to be dealing with double Taurus. Taurus in tarot is the Hierophant. Hebrew letter Vav means nail or hook. The idea thereby being that you hook together, the Hierophant hooks together the spiritual with the physical. Okay, so it's not just about one, it's about both, the physical and the spiritual hooking together. That's the idea. We want to learn to look past the physical. The Taurus, on the outside, the physical, teaches us to enjoy the physical world, enjoy what's around us, the surroundings, the physical environment. But we have to look deeper than that. We have to find that deeper inner meaning to what is going on. Numerology for today is a 3. Here's how we arrived at that 3. 4 for the month, 2 plus 8 for the day is a 10. 2014 is a 7. Add them all together, it's a 12. 1 plus 2 is 3. Today would be a 3-tone day. So you're familiar with the 3-tone days. They're about creativity, they're about activation, they're about imagination. Okay, and all of these things, remember the Hebrew letter assigned to the tarot card of this imagination. 3 is the left, which means door. Tarot represents the card of the Empress. This is the card right there. So Empress, creativity, imagination, giving birth to that which is inside of us, the creative imagination, the creativity. In some cases it could be a physical birth, but mainly it's a birthing of that ideal which was in us. If we look over on the chart here to see where we're at, here's the Empress, the 3, the left, door. So it's the door allowing us into that inner chamber. Here we have the Hierophant taking us from wisdom to mercy. Okay, learning something and then learning how to be humble about what it is was learned. Alright, and then the Emperor, the Hierophants we're at. So, again, just by looking at this tree, it helps you to understand a bit of where we're at, what we're working towards. This goes on and on every single day, with decisions we make, with activities we do. This is just how life operates. We have 2 extremes in the middle. That's what we're looking to do. Find the balance. Find the balance. Alright, we're almost to the new moon. Tomorrow we'll be there. Not only new moon, but there's a eclipse taking place tomorrow, a solar eclipse. We won't see it here in the States, but over in like Australia they'll have a view of it. With the moon, here we go, with the moon out of the sky. Now is a fine time to work through parts of the Virgo galaxy cluster with your scope. Cluster galaxies are numerous but mostly faint, averaging at 55 million light years away, so you'll need a highly detailed, large-scale chart to explore the northern part of the cluster. Use Sue French's Deep Sky Wonders article and map with stars to 10 magnitude. Alright, so there's what's going on there. We're at 11-tone day in the Mayan Oracle. Wave spell, the dog, the heart, love, loyalty. Today we're at the idea of dissolving that which we've learned to become bigger than what we are. Example, drop some sugar in some water, the water becomes sweet. It dissolves to become more than what it is. So we have I dissolve in order to enlighten releasing life. I seal the matrix of universal fire with the spectral tone of liberation. I'm guided by my own power, doubled. Today is the sun, so today is a Sunday, all about enlightenment. Over at space weather, solar wind, 295.1 kilometers per second. Planetary K index is quiet, 2 and a 3. M-class flare possibility is only at 10, X-class down to 1, geomagnetic storm activity is pretty low as well. And last here, our date on the Jewish calendar, today is 28th of Nisan, Omer count 13. Okay, there you have it. That gets us started for today. I'll be right back because we got UFO news next.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
Alright, Dirk, thank you very much. So today, first story starts off with a shot of the moon. This is a whole fleet passing in front. This comes from the 21st. You see a whole fleet right there. Okay, a little close-up view there. Intriguing video. It has a chat area attached to a live cam. Cam catches everything that passes between it and the moon, from birds, planes, all the way to fleets of UFOs. Look at the enlargement above. These UFOs are moving faster than any bird, balloon, or plane. Even a jet couldn't catch up with those UFOs. No wings, no tails, no flapping, nothing but long, dark objects. This cam looks very useful tool for those who want to catch a UFO, but have your screen recorder going or you may miss them. Okay. So this is the first 9 minutes and it's jam-packed, absolutely amazing. Don't miss this one. Here are some highlights. You can see the entire broadcast. Okay. Just zip in here. It's a good lengthy video, but lots of good stuff in it. And of course, this is best when viewed at a large screen. Alright, I'm going to leave this for you to check out on your own. It's a large video, 9 minutes. Pennsylvania had a huge black rectangular. There's an image. It says, I was finishing up my jog at a local school here in Donora, Pennsylvania, about 3:15 p.m. I noticed already to the left of my position above the treetop hills was a huge black rectangular object moving slowly over the treetops. Moving right to left. It had a very boxy look to it, sharply defined edges. This thing was very far away, about 1.5 miles. The park I was at is way up on the hill, so that's how I was able to see it so far away. The object did not reflect the daytime sun. I saw no lights on it or windows. It was far away, so all I can say is what I saw from the distance where I was. The object did appear to change shape, going from a large, solid rectangle to a thinner, but just a long rectangular. It was just cruising along very slowly along the treetops, even hovered a few times. It was 2 to 3 times the size of the Goodyear blimp. I'd say as big as it appeared, as far away as I knew it was really close, touching the treetops practically. I did not have my phone to take a photo. It was still a ways from my car. My photo, so I tried to jog to my car as fast as I could, being already out of breath. There were some people there in the park. I knew I needed to get the other people to confirm the sightings. There were 2 women sitting watching their kids on the playground. I was still some walking distance from them, so I kept my eye on the object while I made my way to them. At this point, the object had crossed over a gap between the large hillsides to continue its course over the next hillside and treetops. The object changed shape a few times, getting thinner and then really big again, always maintaining the rectangular shape and dull black color. Also, it appeared to move sideways, backing up away from my position, then back towards me again. Alright, let's move on from there. Special Forces, amazed and awed of a transparent UFO. Special Forces Army veteran reported a UFO encounter with low-flying, sphere-shaped object while serving in Afghanistan, according to an April 24th MUFON report. The witness said his entire army unit saw the object on May 10th back in 2004 that was so close that they could have thrown a rock and hit it. It appeared out of nowhere. It floated over one of the mountains from the south to the east over the base we built. It made no noise and you could not see it with the naked eye. It looked like a light bulb, but it was a sphere. You could see almost through it, but it was glowing. It lit up the ground with its IR lights. You could not see this craft without the night vision. We were amazed, in awe, as we observed this craft that was hovering about 50 to 100 feet in the air, its speed around 5 to 10 miles per hour, 100 yards from the outside perimeter of our base camp, the west side of our base. It hovered about a mile north of us. As we were watching this craft, our commander was inside the base camp about a quarter of a mile to the southeast of our position. Also seeing this craft, he got on the radio and announced to get back to work. It's nothing. I was on the Mark 19. We had mounted on the back of a Humvee. My squad leader was in the passenger seat, and a friend of mine was in the driver's seat. We're pulling roaming security from one traffic control point to the other, from the south of the base to the north of our base camp. After our commander said get back to work, we watched this craft for about 10 more minutes before we had to turn around and head back north. The craft stopped about a quarter of a mile northeast of our position, stopped at a campfire that our lower herders had made. The UFO shot a beam at the herders' camp, but we couldn't see the base of the fire, just a flickering of it on the backside of the mountain. We was cut off from seeing what they were doing with that beam of light. The specialist turned the Humvee around. We started driving north towards the TCP. I wanted to finish watching the craft, but we lost sight of it when we left. The hill was blocking our view, the same hill that was blocking the beam that we saw. It took off so fast at a 90-degree angle straight up into outer space. It seemed like the lights in the craft had a delayed reaction because the craft took off so fast. Like its lights took off a few seconds to catch up to the craft. They left at an alarming rate. It made dashes of light into the sky, never to be seen again. First time I told anyone about this besides my family. This is just a brief description of what happened. I wanted to try to make a three-dimensional recreation of what happened. Alright, so there you go. So it's military captured, special forces not captured but saw. Now we're going to go underwater. Underwater alien base near Saipan. Okay, see, this is the outline of what is being seen there. Near Guam and Saipan Islands. Say guys looking over Google Earth and came across this remarkable looking underwater anomaly. Massive walls seem to go for about 50 miles. The long ways about 250 miles. Sure, these anomalies could be an ancient Asian civilization that sank under the ocean, but it could also be an underwater alien base. Its size and location would ensure millions could use it, since it's such an excluded area. Okay. So there you have it. And the video itself is 12 minutes long. Okay. Very interesting indeed. Let's move on from there. Alright, you might remember this story back in the 1500s. There was a widespread panic report April 14th, 1561, because of what was described as an aerial battle among hundreds of bright lights flying in the sky from horizon to horizon above the Bavarian town of Nuremberg. This event was popularly known today as the mass panic in Renaissance Bavaria. There are many explanations for the lights, appearance ranging from UFOs to light refraction, but only a account of the event can be read at centuries-old broadsheet report. The tale of the supposed terror and bewilderment was only reported by hands at the lesser's broadsheet. According to report, a dreadful apparition took place in the sun on April 14, 1561. It was witnessed by many people in Nuremberg. The event started with the appearance of two blood-red, semicircular arcs in the middle of the sun. The above, below, both sides of the sun became colored blood, with a partly dull round ball that was partly black ferrous color. All of a sudden, other balls came in large number, forming in set around the three in line, about four in a square, and some alone. The big strange event happened during Renaissance Europe, where colorful language was part of the life back then. However, this was also a time when people had just started once again pay attention to the stars, and any strange happenings there could give much concern to society. Well, this was a God-fearing age wherein accounts usually involved emotive language. The way Broadsheet described the event was a very active set of aerial phenomena, or something not in the account of religious history. According to the Broadsheet account, there were visible bloods all over the sky, and a group in the sun went over to the group on both sides, and the group standing outside of the sun flew into the sun. After an hour of fighting, they became exhausted of such extent that they all fell from the sun down to the earth as if they were burned, and created immense smoke on the earth. For the reason of the broadsheet was written during God-fearing times, it is also believed that this was part of religious propaganda. Furthermore, it was in this time when religious diversification broadsheets were commonly used for spreading ideological theories. In a closing statement of Glazer's account, he said that God may have sent mankind a frightening punishment for being ungrateful of high signs in God's miracles. Okay, very good. And one last piece here. This is a video for you to watch. Not now, but to watch on your own, because there's actually two parts of a video, and they're actually quite lengthy. It's an hour and 20 minutes each one, but it's well worth the watch. The piece here is called UFO Secret Ships of Light. Okay, there's two stories, an hour and 20 minutes long each, part one and part two. And it's the story of a gentleman named Carlos Diaz. I just watched this over the weekend. Carlos Diaz, who had a sighting, and he saw this huge luminous object in the sky, very large, and he got pictures of it. He also was taken aboard the ship, but not in a way as an abductee, but as a contactee. And over the course of this film, it describes what he experienced with them, what the message was. It also goes through and verified that what he saw was real. There's some really great research here, just discovering what went on. So it's well worth the watch. There's part one, part two. Check it out. The link's available for part one, and then just when you get done, just follow the link to part two from the video itself. All right, there you have it. That's our UFO news. I'll be right back. I've got more coming up. Stay tuned.
Another alien visitor claimed that his race had been looking in on us for centuries, and that they had in fact influenced the course of human history in some rather critical and startling ways.
All right, let's continue on here. So, over the last couple of weeks, I've been reading from the book Life and Teaching of the Masters of the Far East, the series. We've gone over each one of the books. Kerbalion, I've been telling you about the Kerbalion, what that's all about. So we're learning a lot of things about the mind, right? But one of the things that is important that we are aware of with the mind is how others might try to program your own mind. And this happens all the time, and I think it's worth taking a look at so we are aware of what's going on out there. Okay? So what I have here is an article, Subliminal Advertising in Modern Day Brainwashing. And this is very important. The advertising industry, a prominent and powerful industry, engages in deceptive subliminal advertising, which most of us are unaware of. By bypassing our unconscious mind using subliminal techniques, advertisers tap into the vulnerabilities surrounding our unconscious mind, manipulating and controlling us in many ways. Since the 1940s, subliminal advertising blossomed until now, when you can find subliminals in every major advertisement and magazine cover. Legislation against the advertisers had had no effect in cutting the use of subliminals. In the information age, it seems people are no longer in control of the people. The ones in control are the ones with knowledge. In this case, the advertisers have it. You don't, until now. Okay? And then it just goes through here. Advertising bombs us every moment of our lives. The advertising industry has penetrated every aspect of this society. When I wake in the morning, the first thing I hear is my radio blaring out the latest ad for Sears or the Penn State bookstore. At night, the last thing I see is the latest peroxide innovation on the toothpaste tube. Most of us ignore these ads as we drive by the Marlboro billboard on the way to work, or the countryside on a lovely day. However, most of us not realize that the mind games these advertised have been playing on our subconscious minds for the past half century. It's scary though, really, when you realize the advertisers have gained control of our lives without us even knowing it. I stumbled across this topic of subliminal messages and advertisements accidentally. Before I became familiar with the subject, I have heard of naked women and ice cubes floating in soft drinks. I've also heard of subliminal messages being flashed in theaters telling people to drink soda and eat popcorn. In fact, I have experimented with flashing messages on my computer screen using a program I made at the beginning of my senior year in computer science class. The subject of an subconscious mind being influenced without a person's knowledge greatly intrigues me. At a present symposium I've attended to present a research poster, I've listened to another presentation about the effects of subliminal stimuli on the left logical side of the brain. The presenter was off topic and was consequently marked by the judges. However, she has given me impulse to further dwell on the topic. Some questions I have asked as entered this research was, are people really naked women on the ice? If so, are they effective in influencing people? And finally, how do the advertisers put these subliminal messages into the ads? With these objectives in mind, I had discovered the breadth of my background knowledge I had to gather before I would even attempt to analyze the ads. I had to learn about human perception, subconscious processing, advertising strategy, depth interviews, graphic design, a plethora of subtopics. Nonetheless, I've thoroughly enjoyed this research project. Okay, there's a lot more to this. I'll leave that for you to read. The gist of it is, as you are aware from the books and the material that we've been going over on the show, the mind is very controllable. The idea is we learn to go in and take charge of our own mind. However, we're in a society that has individuals that feel that they want to control others' minds. And so they do this. They do this in a variety of different ways for different agendas. Some of them as innocent as just making money because they want to sell a product. Some as they want to sell an agenda, like getting you to believe in issues of war or racism or other things like that. And these are pumped into people on a daily basis. So you know what it's like at the end of the day. You've been bombarded with all this information and your mind doesn't know what to do with it. Well, that's why we have the outlets, knowing that we use the meditation to dissipate this energy. We learn about how the mind does work so that we can eliminate areas where there are those trying to control or put influences to us that aren't our own. So it's important that we are aware of these things. Because if not, buttons just start getting pushed, and that's not a good thing because it pushes people in the wrong way. Joseph Goebbels, he was a member of the Nazi Party. He became Adolf Hitler's propaganda master in 1933, which gave him power over all German press, radio, cinema, and theater. In 1925, Goebbels met party leader Adolf Hitler. In 1926, he was made Goebbels or Gauleiter, or party leader for the religion of Berlin. In 1927, he founded and became editor of the National Socialist periodical Der Angriff, which is the attack. He was elected by the Reichstag, the German parliament, in 1928. By exploiting mob emotions and employing all modern methods of propaganda, Goebbels helped Hitler into power. His work as a propagandist materially aided Hitler's rise to power in 1933. When Hitler seized power in 1933, Goebbels was appointed Reich Minister for Propaganda and National Enlightenment. And then till his death, Goebbels used all media and education and communications to further Nazi propaganda aims, instilling in the German the concept of their leader as a verifiable God and their destiny as rulers of the world. In 1938, he became a member of Hitler's cabinet council. Late in the World War II, and in 1944, Hitler placed him in charge of total mobilization. And if you look at some of his techniques he used, the propagandist must have access to intelligence concerning events and public opinions. Propaganda must be planned and executed by only one authority. It must issue all the propaganda directives. It must explain propaganda directives to important officials and maintain their morale. It must oversee their other agencies' activities, which have propaganda consequences. The propaganda consequences of an action must be considered in planning that action. Propaganda must affect the enemy's policies and actions. By suppressing propagandistically desired material, you can provide the enemy with useful intelligence. By openly disseminating propaganda whose content or tone causes the enemy to draw the desired conclusions. By goading the enemy into revealing vital information about himself. By making no reference to a desired enemy activity when any reference would discredit that activity. Classified operational information must be available to implant propaganda campaign. To be perceived, propaganda must evoke the interest of an audience and must be transmuted through an attention-getting communications medium. Credibility must alone determine whether propaganda output should be true or false. The purpose of the content and effectiveness of enemy propaganda, the strength and effective and expose, the name of the current propaganda campaigns determine whether an enemy propaganda should be ignored or refuted. Okay, there's a lot more. I'm not going to go through all of these. The point being that propaganda has been studied, and here in the United States, you may or may not be aware of it, but there are a number of bills or orders, executive orders that have been signed that say that our government, our media, can use propaganda against the American people. Now, Joseph Goebbels, his techniques didn't just stay there in Nazi Germany. His techniques came here to America, which is why I'm bringing this up, because these techniques, they aren't isolated. They continue to live and breathe and be a part of our system when we turn on the television and watch these commercials that are going on. And so it's very important, again, that no, we don't want to focus upon this. We want to at least be aware that this is going on so we understand who is controlling our minds. It shouldn't be somebody else, it should be us, because it's that connection between us and God. And anything that gets in between that, well, that's illusionary. That's not real. It's not something that we need to do. Let's jump over here. Here's another article. Nazi investigations into esoteric science did not end with fighting and weapons technology. Since prior to the 20th century, Germans had delved into psychology and psychiatry with an eye towards their application to warfare, even the extent of exploring occult practices. As well documented in a number of books, articles, and videos, there's a very definite underlying occult aspect to National Socialism. As elucidated by rule by secrecy, unholy alliance, the occult and the Third Reich, the Spear of Destiny, and other works. World War II was largely an infighting between secret occult societies composed of wealthy businessmen on both sides of the Atlantic. Eventually, the tensions between these groups provoked open warfare that consumed the entire world. Okay, and there's more down there. Again, getting into the talk of Hitler, the scientists and the propagandists that worked with Hitler, and then how these scientists all came, a number of them came to work for the United States, and we just continued on. So the propaganda machine keeps going, and people don't realize that this machine is going on a whole. Most people, a lot of people do, but there's still many people that don't. And they get caught up into it so easy. So easy. Here's one more, and then this is called the 7-Step Guide to Mind Control. It says, well, why not? They are the problem, right? Here you are with a blog or a product or a charity you believe in will change the world, and yet no matter how excited you are about the possibilities, no matter how much faith you have in yourself, you can't help being worried. If you ask a popular blogger for a link, will it get you a reply? If you ask a partner to email a product to their list, will they agree? If you ask a friend for a donation, will they write you a check? You don't know, you can't, and it bothers you. Wouldn't it be easier if you can just close your eyes, pop over into their mind, and seize control? Too bad it's not possible, or is it? Now, this is what there are thoughts like that in the world. So, it says, back in the 80s, a researcher by the name of Robert Cialdini wrote a book called The Influence of Psychology of Persuasion. He outlined different principles suggesting scientifically proven to influence people, as well as suggestions on how to do it. Since then became necessary, or became maybe the most important book in the field of marketing. If you haven't read it, you should, as well as the sequel. Here's the bad news. Mind control isn't about magic powers, arcane arts, or even shaving your head and galvanizing around a wheelchair. truth is about something that makes a lot of people squeamish, marketing. And then we go into here. The whole idea is you do the thinking for the person. Start an avalanche of creating this information over and over and over again. Ask for an inch, take a mile. Always have a real deadline. Give 10 times more than you take. Stand for something greater than yourself. Completely and utterly shameless. Now, I bring all this up because these are techniques that are being employed every single day on the people of America and the people around the world. And if you're not aware of these things, then you might be falling prey to what they're about. You know many people who certainly are falling prey to all of these different activities that are out there. You can see them because of how they're affected. The news comes on to do thinking for you. It's not about getting you to think for yourself, it's about thinking for you. So why all this talk about the mind control today? Where did this come from? Well, over the last couple weeks, we've heard a number of stories that the media has been telling. We've first heard the story about the airline and this dog and pony show where they're having everyone chasing their tail looking for this thing. When in actuality, if you think about the system and how surveillance works, you know that someone's fully aware of where that plane went, where it landed, where it is at this moment in time. You have to keep people running around. They think for you. Okay? Now, the other issues that have been the issues of Bundy. And you're all familiar with what's going on there. But the sad situation is that he, in part, is the victim of media manipulation. See, the media has been running this story about him, claiming he's a racist, and the comments he made are racist. The thing the media fails to inform you about is that his talk was 3 minutes in length, and what they're showing you is 1 minute and 20 seconds. As a matter of fact, they jump in halfway into what he was saying. So the first part of what he said, which lets you know what he's about, is very necessary to hear the second part of what they're showing on the news. Because if you have the second part just by itself, it sounds and can be made to sound like it's something other than it is. And that's part of the trick. And so they do this all the time. And now we have this latest issue that's in the news with the guy for the Clippers and his comments. And all of these, I believe, are intended to go out there and to create these problems, this fighting going on in a person's mind. Because it doesn't make sense any otherwise. You know, racism is an issue that we certainly have had to deal with for a long time, and it's a shame that all these years have gone by and we're still dealing with this issue. We shouldn't be dealing with it anymore, but we still are. Now, my theory is that we live in a world where on a daily basis, you and I and others go out and we see that there are people from all races, blacks, whites, reds, yellows, browns, all working together, getting along, having no issues with the color of each other's skin. Majority of the folks, people on this planet. But there are small minorities, unfortunately, each race, that still is backward thinking. They're still back in the day when they're thinking that all of these racist ideas are still in vogue. And so those in the media that have agendas, they push the buttons of those in the various different races. So then you get all riled up and you go out there and you want to fight with someone of another race. Silly. It's silly. We have to stop this. We have to stop pointing and picking on other people because of their color of their skin. Here's something to think about. I know there's a big division and big problem, with blacks and whites and the issue of slavery. And you hear all the time, white devil. But who stands up when somebody's out there, when you hear the blacks calling someone a white devil, where's Whitey standing up to defend them? Or when someone says something about Hispanics, where's someone Hispanic? Or we certainly hear when someone criticizes the black race, because we know that this is a most recent and touchy issue with the slavery. But here's something about it that gives you some food for thought. When slavery occurred, the stories that we hear about, you and I And the others that are complaining about them weren't alive during those times. Maybe your ancestors were, but you weren't alive. And you know what? In the big picture, when we consider the idea of reincarnation, it's quite possible that there are many white people alive today that during the time of slavery could have been black slaves. And it's quite possible that there are blacks alive today that during the time when slavery was taking place may have been white slave owners. So perhaps those blacks that are here this day that are complaining about and issues of slavery and racism, maybe they're still stuck in the fact that in another lifetime they were a white slave owner and they're seeing the opposite end of what was created through all of that. And maybe for all of the whites who maybe in another lifetime were black, maybe they're seeing the result of that. Maybe these are lessons that we need to learn. And instead of getting so caught up about what happened in the past to this person of this color skin, maybe we need to all bond together and realize we've all gone through these issues. And it is the media, it is the agenda, it is politics that are pushing these buttons over and over. Because as I stated, on a daily basis, you can go out and you can see that majority of the different races of individuals are out there working together side by side without any issues whatsoever. So for the majority of people on this planet, racism is not an issue. We've moved past it. It's only for a small minority. And so for those small minorities in each group, there are whites, and blacks, and reds, and yellows, and all different groups that have people that say stupid things and are still caught up in that backward mindset. They are the ones who are the most susceptible to this mental programming that goes on, because they're already stuck in a place where they're still thinking old thoughts, and all it takes is somebody with an influence on their mind who's going to think for them and then push them where they want them to go. So for all of these reasons and many more, we need to really be aware of who is controlling our mind. The only person that should be controlling your mind is you. Not any propaganda, not any government agency, not anyone. You. It's between you and your Creator, you and God. And the more that you and we practice meditation, the more that we understand the laws of nature, the laws of the universe, we understand what the masters have taught us. The more we look and understand that, the more we realize the power that we truly have, and the less and less we are controlled by others. It's really simple. So the purpose of all of this information today was to show you that while we are out there trying to grow and evolve, there are those unfortunate individuals still stuck in old patterns and old ways trying to control others. But by being aware of that, we make all the difference in the world. Use that to your advantage. If we use such things to our advantage, we can teach others and we can spread positive information to counteract what's going on out there. Okay, so I know I was rambling maybe a little bit all over the board on this issue, but I think it's a big issue because every day I see, and I know that you see, people who are behaving the way someone told them to behave. And we often wonder, why are they like that? Well, it's very, very specific why. They've been controlled to be that way. And once you realize that, things change. Okay? So there you have it. That's my take on the mind control whole situation that's going on. And let's move past it. Racism's an issue that should be long gone. I'm tired of it. I know a lot of people are tired of it. Let's move past that. I mean, come on, folks. If we can't get past the multiple colors down here, what's going to happen when we start seeing beings from other races that are colors like a green or purples or blues, you know? So let's just get over the reds, the whites, the blacks that are down here and the yellows. And let's just understand we've got a whole variety of colors in this universe, and they're all awesome. And we shouldn't be, freaked out by any particular thing just because humankind is pushing us in a way to dislike another color. It's wrong, it's silly, it's stupid. Okay? All the colors are necessary. All are necessary. Just look at a box of crayons. You got all the colors. And when you take all the colors and you draw pictures, you make amazing pictures because they're all necessary. All right, let's move on from there. Here we have an article, How Time Acceleration Affects Your Health. P.L. Cheng. Can time speed up or slow down? According to Albert Einstein's theory of relativity, yes it can. Time acceleration plays an important role for your health because it can cause you to age faster or slower. In this article, I will explain some important fundamentals, aspects of how time works and how it relates to your health. The strange thing about time is that it is not always constant, like how we are conditioned to believe. Below is a quote from Wikipedia. When two observers are in a relative uniform motion and far away from any gravitational mass, the point of view of each will be that the other's clock is ticking at a slower rate than the local clock. The faster the relative velocity, the greater the magnitude of time dilation. The case is sometimes called special relativistic time dilation. It is often interpreted as time slowing down for the other moving clock, but that is only true from the physical point of view of the local observer and of others at a relative rest. The quote above is basically saying that a moving object and an object at rest will experience time in a different speed. And then here we got a little video to give examples of that. Einstein did a good job explaining how time and space were related, but he missed many important aspects of how they worked. Modern physicists have been filling some of the holes that Einstein had missed, but they have still not grasped what time really is. What most modern physicists fail to notice is that time is not linear, but simultaneous and does not move. The idea of time being linear is an idea that is preventing modern physicists from discovering secrets about the universe. Fortunately, there are some physicists who are starting to realize that time works in a simultaneous fashion. What is linear time? That's just going from one point to the next in an order. When you experience linear time, you're experiencing a multidimensional and holographic illusion created by the refraction of particles and antiparticles which pulsate and spin at different speeds and angular rotations. Pulsation is an important feature of time because the way particles pulsate at various rhythms is what gives us the illusion of time. If you notice, these terms that are coming out here are all terms we're hearing in the Kabbalion, talking about time and energy and the mind and how it works. So you can see how it's all related. If we go down here, the last passage says, time acceleration is nothing new to NASA. Special groups in the military and certain engineers who design special machines that rely on energy vibration. These people knew since the early 1980s that time has been accelerating. Before 1980, Earth's base pulse frequency, also known as Earth's heartbeat, was vibrating at a constant frequency. After 1980, Earth's heartbeat started to increase. This change in frequency change in frequency caused problems to certain machines that were designed to rely upon Earth's heartbeat. As a result, these machines had to be adjusted or the calculations would be off. So, time is very important. It's said that Jose Arguelles used to use the phrase "time is art." I like that idea that when we look at time, we understand it in a different concept. If you've ever done any video editing, you know that we no longer, movies used to be edited in a linear way, which means you'd have the whole movie and you would cut it as it would come along, what's next in order. Nowadays, editing software allows a person to be able to edit a project and edit any section of it at any point in time. You don't have to go in order. It's called non-linear. And that's how life is. Life is a non-linear format. I remember once listening to a conversation or a talk being given from someone who was part of the Philadelphia experiment. It goes by the name Drew. And he was talking about time, and he said that time was like being in the middle of a diamond, and you have all these facets around you, and each one of these facets is a different way you could go, a different timeline you could follow. And it's a nice way to look at it because you can imagine then being in a place where you just see different doorways and you pick the doorway you're going to go and experience whatever that time is about. So time is important. Time is what we are in the midst of. in learning and evolving through as we go from one dimensional reality to the next. Alright? So let's move on to there for our message for today. This one is from Hilarion. Let's get to
Hilarion.
April 27th to May 4th, 2014, by Marlene Swetleshoff.
Beloved ones, the people of the earth are all in the process of transformation on every level. Human life as they have known it is changing, and from those changes comes ways of living that will be far better for everyone. It is not an easy time during this process, and so there is a need for faith in the vision of a better world for all. Certainly the outer world does not reflect the higher vision during these times as it goes through the changes, but it is already a template on the higher planes of life. This is where all changes begin and then work their way into the physical. Humanity as a whole has chosen the changes that are occurring, and some changes happen suddenly and others will take a longer period of time. Patience is needed for those of you who have been doing the work for many years. For those who are in the process of interfacing with their higher aspects, the task is to become their higher aspects. All that is not of the highest expression within each individual is now making its way to the surface to be acknowledged, learned from, blessed and released. As one is freed of long-hidden aspects of oneself that lived in one's very cells, it is important to practice forgiveness of self and all others with whom you have had interactions in the totality of your life during this lifetime, and any others whose memory may surface during this process. After sincere forgiveness comes a replenishment of more light into one's cells, and to maintain this light one then becomes a person who constantly blesses all people and all situations that may arise. It is in this practice that greater connection with one's higher aspects takes place. On the road to mastery, one learns to practice being the Creator's ambassadors in every thought, action, and deed. One becomes unconditionally loving of all life around them. There is no longer any room for the secret thoughts and judgments within each person's mind as they interact with others. One must become an open book, honest and transparent in all interactions with others. This is, during these times, a difficult challenge for each one of you who are on the path, so it requires wisdom and discernment in your dealings with others. Release all that you can and let discernment be your guide during times that bring tests. Let love and blessing be your constant refrain within your thought processes. This is how we who ascended became free of the lower influences that surrounded us. We also lived our daily lives away from others so that we could become the masters of ourselves. Those who are reading this do not have this option. Most of you have already gained this mastery in other places and lifetimes, so you have the capacity within you to walk the ways of this world and not be of it. However, it requires constant vigilance and discipline. Do not give up on this process because those around you choose to act in ways that are not expressions of the divine. Bless, bless, bless everything and everyone around you in your thoughts. This is your work in the now moments and you can do it. You have the capacity to do this. Continue to find time to do nice things for yourselves, listen to uplifting music, treat yourself to a lovely dessert from time to time, take long walks in nature, celebrate every little victory you have made as you take the next steps on your journey. There is much beauty around you, and by tuning into this beauty and feeling the sublime joy, appreciation, and gratitude within your hearts and minds for these moments, you help to anchor those feelings on your planet. Such is the nature of your work. Wonderful, isn't it? Until next week. I am Hilarion.
Alright, another good weekly message from Hilarion. Takes us to our meditation for today, so go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take a deep breath again. And just feel the breath as it goes in and out, as you inhale and exhale. And just feel the rhythm. And as you feel the rhythm of your breath, just think about the rhythm of life. And how this air, this energy you're taking into your body vibrates and connects with the other air that's already vibrating in your body. And feel this vibration, very subtle. Feel how the energy feels in your body. And as you think about this process, and you think about how your body has been going for years and years and years, you begin to appreciate even more the great creations that we are. As we contemplate who we are, and we appreciate who we are, we find ourselves evolving, growing, because as we appreciate, we become more. And we understand that this appreciation is a result of the blessings that we have in our lives. The blessings that we've created for ourselves and those blessings that have come from others. And we understand that we, through the process of blessings, sending out good vibes and hopes for others, that we can appreciate not only ourselves but others. So imagine walking through life, imagine seeing others and just quietly sending a blessing to them. And as you do, just imagine that going out and appreciating their life. Imagine as we go through and we just send blessings and good vibes to each other, how we change. As we are aware of the challenges of everyday life, and we are aware of the activities of humans who have different agendas, we become aware that the only one who should be in charge of our minds is ourselves. And we learn to take full charge of who we are, so that there is no subliminal programming or propaganda that will affect us, because we already are immune to what it does, simply by being aware that it exists. Let's contemplate these words of this affirmation today. I am worry-free. I am worry-free. And so imagine yourself going through today. See yourself going through today's activities without any worries. And imagine yourself tonight, at the end of the day, feeling happy, refreshed, and energized, having gone through a day without any worry. And know that we can set our mind on these paths each and every day. Let's just imagine people around the world now and send love and light out to them. Imagine the planet being surrounded with light, with love. Imagine this love being sent out to all the people of the planet. Imagine the word love written across the whole world. Seeing that word love just absorbed into the earth. And let's just think a good thought for everybody today. And as we continue to focus on good vibes and love, let's just bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale, and open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That's our show for today. Thank you very much for being here. A lot to consider. So please do consider it. Check out the videos and the links. Check out that movie about ships of light. I think you'll find it very fascinating. And just keep doing good and thinking good. Keep loving each other. That's what it's all about. I'll be back tomorrow. Have an awesome day. Peace. I'm out of here.